Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Swissnex Demo Day. Either like if you're in San Francisco or in the US, good morning. If you're joining from Switzerland, good evening. I'm really happy to have you all here. And we're really excited to have all our 7 startups pitch tonight. This is at least, as you can see, this is all virtual, but at least in spirits, we're here at the pier tonight, as you can see. On Pier 17, where we usually reside in San Francisco. But all the startups that are here with us and also the judges, it's a global get-together online, and we're really happy to have you all with us. So before we actually start with the pitches, and that's why you're all here tonight, I will make a really quick introduction into what we are doing tonight. So this is the Swissnex Demo Day, as you can all see. A short introduction about Swissnex. So Swissnex is actually a network for innovation. Our mission is to connect Switzerland with the world in terms of innovation. We work together with corporates, with universities, with researchers, with scientists, with artists, and of course also with startups. As you can see, there are blue and red dots on this map that I'm showing you. That's basically because the blue dots are the little sister offices of us. They're the science and technology offices, and the red dots are the Swissnexes. We're basically the big sisters. So as you can see, we have offices in San Francisco, Boston, New York, Rio, Sao Paulo, Bangalore, and 2 also in China. So this program that you're actually witnessing tonight, or actually an excerpt, those 7 startups, has been going on for over 10 years. We have been supporting startups in internationalizing since 2010. This is really important for Switzerland because Switzerland has really great technology, but a really small market. And that's why Swiss startups are born global. So far, we have supported over 117 startups, and that's just in San Francisco. The other sites also have this program running. Our alumni have a combined valuation of 1.1 billion, and we have really fantastic alumni, as you can see, like MindMaze, FaceShift, Beekeeper, or Ava. A quick word about the team, because everything that we do is really just possible with the team. And also today you will just meet 2 of us, but there's so many more in the background working on this event and many others. Here you see a picture from back in the days when people met in person. It's actually in front of our office on Pier 17 on a beautiful day under Californian sky. Your hosts tonight are myself, Franziska, and I will lead you through the first part of tonight, the pitch event. And then my colleague Linda will take over for the second part, the networking. We are actually both in the startup team and focus everything that we do on futurepreneurs and entrepreneurs and how to connect them with the world. A quick word also to our partners, because nothing would be possible without them. And especially I'd like to mention here InnoSwiss, which is actually financing this program. We have been working with InnoSwiss for over 10 years, and they're actually financing the global Swissnex network to run these programs for internationalization. A second partner for this specific cohort tonight is actually Swiss healthcare startups, because we have a strong health cluster, and they are in Switzerland also, and connect Swiss health startups with the industry and with different stakeholders that are important. So now for today's event. We will have the first part, as I said, a pitch event here on Zoom. Each startup will pitch for 3 minutes. We are really strict on time, and we trained really well so that we will stay in that time. And then we have our 3 judges asking them questions for 4 minutes. You don't have the possibility to ask questions over the chat because we disable this function, but meet us afterwards for the networking event and ask the startups everything when you meet them at their virtual demo tables. In addition, and especially for the ones that cannot join us for the event afterwards, we will be asking you if you want to get in touch with the startup that is pitching. And then if you select yes, we will share that with the startup and you can get in touch. Second part of tonight will be on a different platform. So before, like now, we are on Zoom. Afterwards, we will switch platforms on Remo. It's a fun networking platform. You see, it looks like a floor with tables, and it actually also feels like that. And it's very natural in this time where we have to do everything virtually. This is actually a pretty fun way to engage. I will tell you more midway through the event. So now, to the things that we're actually here for this morning or this evening, are 7 fantastic startups. They have all worked really hard over the last 2 weeks in our bootcamp. It's actually the 3rd bootcamp of the year, so it's the 3rd batch. And the demo day always marks the climax of this program, and have really worked hard, like had fantastic sessions, and now they're excited to pitch to you tonight. And now I would love to introduce our 3 judges. We have actually the pleasure to have 3 fantastic judges representing venture capital as well as industry, and they have a really deep knowledge in the fields of the startups that are presented here. And I will let Danielle, Amy, and Anne introduce themselves very quickly. So please introduce yourself. We will start with Danielle.
Hi everyone, it's good to see all. My name is Danielle. I'm based here in sunny San Francisco at the moment, and I manage a family investment fund as part of the Haas family from Levi Strauss. We've done a number of investments in early stage companies, and excited to be here today.
Thank you very much, Danielle. Amy, if you would like to introduce yourself.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. This is Amy Leifer. I'm also joining from sunny San Francisco. I am with Calibrate Ventures. We are a California-based venture firm investing in early revenue automation and artificial intelligence technologies. We focus on visionary founders who are reshaping the future across a number of industries, including healthcare, which is strongly represented today.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Amy. And last but not least, Anne.
Hello, I'm Anne de Geest. I'm also from sunny California. I run a company called Health Tech Capital. It's an ecosystem of angel investors as well as strategics, very large strategics. We're focusing on the health tech, which is how can we use technology to change healthcare delivery. We've invested 45 companies in the space, and I personally have been a pioneer of the space for the last 35 years. Looking forward to the presentation.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, judges. We will look forward to your questions. They're going to be hard, I'm sure, and we're all going to learn much more what the startups are actually doing. So now let's begin. Let's start the show. And we will start with the first part of startups. And actually, these 3 are pitching, and then I will say something in between. So we are really looking forward to hear from Aspivix, Oxivo, and Jamie&I. And the first company that we're hearing now will actually be Aspivix, and they're working on a really, really honorable cause, like so many startups working in femtech. And they're actually revolutionizing gynecological procedures, and through making it less painful and also easier. And so how they're doing that, we're really happy to hear that from Mathieu from Aspivix.
Thank you, Francisca, and good morning, everyone. So I'm Mathieu, CEO and co-founder of Aspivix. Aspivix started with a fantastic blend of a gynecologist, a seasoned medtech engineer, and I, a former marketing executive at Danaher, who decided to take on a women's health challenge. So Aspivix is all about a new generation of surgical instruments designed for the gynecologist and for the benefits of women. As I start, so I'd like to ask you one question, which is, do you know that 45% of all pregnancies in the US are unintended, causing $20 billion of social cost every year. And such a problem, of course, could be addressed with better contraception and higher use of intrauterine device, IUD. However, for 18% of the women, pain or fear of pain is a barrier to the adoption of IUD. And so it would be for me, as probably for most of you, if we had to face this instrument named tenaculum used by gynecologists to hold the cervix while accessing the uterus. It's of course rough. It causes pain, bleeding, and affects 80 million women every year in the world. And so here it is what we're doing at Aspivix to make women's life better. Aspivix is a non-traumatic vacuum-based device designed to replace tenaculum. When attached to the cervix with suction effect, Aspivix enables maneuvering the cervix the exact same way as tenaculum did, but without pain, no bleeding. Aspivix is also disposable. There is no risk of cross-contamination. Of course, we did prove the market, talking to hundreds of physicians and women and 4 global IUD manufacturers. For the women, that's super clear. We slashed the pain by 70%. We eliminate the bleeding. And this is demonstrated currently by the initial result of a clinical trial running at the University Hospital of Lausanne. For the physicians, we offer better time and cost management by removing unnecessary steps such as anesthesia or stopping the bleeding. And for the IUD manufacturers, by reducing the pain or increasing the IUD adoption, we create a new market opportunity of $1.5 billion. So we have developed a device which is currently in use in a first-in-woman clinical trial. And we are industrializing a commercial product that will be launched in Europe in 2021 and in the US in 2022. At Aspivix, we innovate women's care as we believe it's about hefty time for safer and gentler gynecology procedures. So here's my ask. If you want to partner for clinics or for corporate alliances, or if you just want to invest in our next financing round next year of $5 million, please come and talk to me. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mathieu. Fantastic. So, I mean, how about that? 70% reduction of pain for these procedures. It's kind of a no-brainer. If I had 5 million, I would love to give it to you right away. So, but now the questions for the judges, we will actually do that this way. You can just raise your hand and if you have a question. So I see Anne has a question.
Hello, Mathieu, nice presentation. Talk to me about the economics. What's the price? It's a disposable while we're replacing something that's a reusable. What's the economics for the hospitals?
Yeah, so the device, first of all, the device price range is between 10 and 15 Swiss francs or dollars. That's more or less the same we hear in the US. This is a bit higher today than the use and the cost of the use of the multiple use instrument. We consider that basically it adds about $5 to the use every time, but that's what the device costs. But the cost of ownership when you use a tenaculum is also coming from the anesthesia, coming from the fact that you're stopping the bleeding and you just waste time in doing so. And actually, we are building currently economical data to show that we are cheaper when our instrument is used.
And another quick question is, this is a concept cell. How are you going to get to the market? It looks like a one product company as opposed to big business there. Are you going to build a sales force?
No, we're not intending, at least for that product, to build a sales force. And a good pathway for us to go to the market is to bundle our device with intrauterine device, for instance, which represents about 50% of all the use of tenaculum. So that's what we're looking for, is corporate alliances with IUD manufacturers. There are large ones, especially in the US, where the market is fairly consolidated.
Okay, thank you.
Very good question. So next question, we still have 2 minutes for Aspivix. Yes, Danielle.
Hi there. Could you talk a little bit about what your vision is for any sort of client education or, doctor education? Is it going to be the co-licensing agreement with the distributor and the manufacturer of the IUDs, or, how would a doctor be recommending this, or would it just be sort of their standard of care? What's your vision on that?
Yeah. So of course there's a need of, first of all, it's a good question. Thanks a lot, Dan, for that one. And there is a need for education. Nevertheless, what we did is we designed a device which is as easy to use as a tenaculum. Tenaculum is extremely simple to use, to be frank. And we have designed a device which is as easy. It's used with one hand, so it is for the other one. So basically, they don't have to change a lot the procedure to use our instrument. It's really one-to-one. That's one thing we made to simplify. The second thing is, as I said, we're looking for distribution via IUD manufacturers, meaning that in the best option, we have even our device bundled with the IUD. And in that case, it would be delivered, of course, with the IUD, and which reduce the need for education, or at least for information about it.
Got it. And then what's the regulatory process both in in Europe and also in the US? Would it be 510? Would you have to go through FDA approval? What does that process look like for you all?
So it's a medical device, class 1 in Europe, class 2 in the US. In Europe, it requires a CE marking. We have, so as I said in the presentation, we have two devices. One considers for investigation, clinical investigation, and the other one, which would be the commercial one. We are currently filing all the dossier for the CE marking of the investigational device in Europe. And we have also prepared the 510K for this one. Given that we will have the 510K for this first product, it will also be a lot simpler when we come with the commercial product to get, because we will be owning the data for the predicate device. So it's a 510K for US just now.
Got it.
And one last question on the financial side. At least in the US, I believe that procedures like this are reimbursed by insurance at a fixed price. How do you anticipate the additional cost being covered, or how are you thinking about that?
Yeah. So again, there are several options we're looking in right now. Again, if the best option remains to be distributed via the IUD manufacturers, and given that we are opening up a new market for them, there is a high chance that they take on the costs. So it's not that necessarily the device will come as a cost for the customer. As an example, this is what has happened in Europe, for instance, where the devices needed for the IUD insertion have been bundled and at no cost for the users. And it was kind of an advantage for the IUD manufacturers to offer that. So coming with our device, it may come at no cost for the users and not for the insurance or the patient at the end. That's the best and preferred option.
Thank you.
Fantastic. And so unfortunately, we already have to move on to the next startup, but thank you, judges, for those great questions. And thank you, Matthew, as well, for this great product and the fantastic pitch. For the third startup of tonight, we actually, unfortunately, don't have this startup live because they had a conflict tonight, but nevertheless, we have their pitch recorded and we will play that for you. But this is a startup that's actually working on making the world a better place and your experience a better one through personalizing the online shopping experience for sustainable fashion. So how they're doing that, we will hear it from Antonia from Jamie&I.
Hi everyone, my name is Antonia and I'm the founder of Jamie&I, where we are working on the future of e-commerce. So we are coming from the perspective of our target market, which really is the new female generation of today. She's young, she's well educated, she's ambitious and highly career focused. And this target market loves to shop online, now more than ever. But coming from this perspective, we really see two main key problems with today's world of e-commerce. Number one, this target market is extremely time poor. And unfortunately, most of the online shopping experiences today look something like this, where if you go onto the website of one of the big online retailers and you choose a category like women's dresses, you're usually bombarded with something like over 7,000 different items. And let's be honest, ain't nobody got time for that. And what's even worse is that it doesn't even matter whether it's me or you that accesses the site, but we're all shown the exact same content in the exact same order. So we wanted to create a solution that truly masters personalization in e-commerce. And we were really inspired by how companies like Spotify and Netflix leverage data in order to create truly personalized services. So if you think about it, Spotify and Netflix no longer just offer their one standard service to all their users, but instead create a personalized service for each and every one of their customers. So we wanted to take the same data-driven personalization approach and apply it to fashion e-commerce. The second problem we saw is that this target market really cares about the environment and sustainability. And so this target market, frankly, is over fast fashion and the big fast fashion houses, and also a lot of the big brands where just a little bit of trust has been lost whether really everything is so sustainable. So we also wanted to create a platform that showcases a curated selection of sustainable labels and designers. So I'm very excited to introduce you to Jamie&I, your personal online boutique, showcasing a curated selection of independent sustainable labels you love, tailored to your style. Curated by Jamie, your personal artificially intelligent online stylist. This is how it works. So a new customer signs up by playing a short style game. This gives the algorithm for a first data input to create her personal online boutique, where she gets access to sustainable labels tailored to her taste. And every week she also receives weekly outfit inspiration, also personalized to her preferences. The team started with 2 Swiss sisters and has since enjoyed the support of many different organizations. We've just launched our second iteration on jamie&I.shop. And just to say hi, or if you have any questions, I would love to hear from you. My name is Antonia, and thank you so much for your attention. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Antonia. If you watch that maybe later on, thanks for preparing that pitch. And so you don't have the possibility to hear Antonia answer questions, unfortunately, and the judges can't ask her, but the audience can actually see if they want to get in touch with Antonia by selecting in the poll that we launched. And now, instead of asking questions, we will do something else, and I will make a short intermezzo, as we would say when we are in the orchestra, for example. I would like to really quickly go back to the networking event that we have afterwards. So, as I said in the beginning, we're now on Zoom. You hear all the pitches, it's interesting, but it's also laid back, and you don't have the opportunity to interact neither with the participants nor with the startups. But if you go to that platform that you received the link for when you signed up, afterwards, Remo, you can actually network with them. So it's a fun, interactive way to network, as I said. There are virtual demo tables you will see when you go on the platform. Every startup has a table and also a representative at that table. So you can ask your questions directly to the startups. And also it's easy to follow up with people because you can link your LinkedIn account or your Calendly to your profile. And the easiest way actually to sign up after is when you link it to your Google account. So 3 words of advice. To get the best experience, use Chrome. That's the best. Second best is Firefox. Third best is Safari. But if you have Chrome, use Chrome. Then if you can use your laptop, that's perfect. Tablet is second best. Mobile might work too, but it's still the better version. And then we would recommend that you join only after the pitch event is over, so to avoid any technical difficulties when you have Zoom and Remo open at the same time. So with that, we are already going to the second half of pitches. As said, these startups are all targeting the US market. So please keep that in mind when you hear them pitch. They might be already active and successful in Europe, but that's actually where they want to go, to the US. And so for the second part, we have 4 companies left. The first one that's actually going to pitch will be MYLEG, then Neurosoft, then Optimeyes, and then Scailyte. So for the first company that's going to pitch after the intermezzo, MYLEG, they're actually working on a really, really honorable cause as well. And it sounds also science fiction-like when you hear what they're doing. They're actually making amputees feel their legs again. So if that's not a cool startup, then I don't know. So how they're going to do it, we will hear it from Giacomo from MYLEG.
Thank you very much, Francisca. So imagine you're walking and you step on an obstacle. In that moment, you can feel your foot. You can feel the position of your leg, and you can counteract that event, avoiding the fall. But if you're an amputee, you don't perceive any sensation for your prosthetic device. So you're not able to react to that event, and you probably fall with high risk of damage. This is what happens if you're a lower limb amputee. My name is Giacomo Valle. I'm going to tell you how to change the quality of life of people with leg amputation using MYLEG, the first non-invasive device able to improve the walking ability and the cognitive integration of the prosthetic device. So this type of patient suffers high risk of falls that cost up to 30,000 euros per patient per fall. Moreover, the lack of feedback is one of the causes of asymmetric walking, reduced mobility, increased fatigue that create long-term care problems in this type of patient. Finally, if you think to have a limb without sensation, you don't perceive this limb as part of your body, but like an external object. So there is this high rate of prosthesis abandonment. Our solution is MYLEG. MYLEG is the device composed by a sensorized insole with pressure reposition sensors that we can place under the prosthetic foot, and you can read in real time and transfer this information via Bluetooth to a microcontroller that stimulates the residual stump of the patient non-invasively using electrical stimulation. In this way, the patient has back the sensation and the interaction with of the foot with the ground and the movement of the prosthetic leg. The global prosthetic market is around 1.2 billion in 2019, with 4 million leg amputees only in Europe and US. So this is an example of the most advanced prosthetic user, our targetable market. Our solution can improve the quality of life of patients, can increase the revenues for prosthetic manufacturers, and can decrease the cost for healthcare and public insurances. There are no sensory feedback device available on the market for prosthesis, and our device is different for any similar company. Why we are the right team? Because we have an extensive experience with people with amputation, and we are highly motivated to change the quality of life of people with disability. Why optimistic to be successful? Because we already tested the system with patients, proving the benefits, in particular also in activity of daily living, so where in everyday life. We have a clear 3-year roadmap to arrive to the market penetration, and also we received some funding, and now we are planning to the first round of funding for the next year. So now I'm searching for a good network of people, foundation investors and experts that can help me in this dream. So I want to thank you for the attention and invite you at Sabaton 2020 to see MYLEG in action. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Giacomo. This was a fantastic presentation, and I think everybody understands now why this is such a fantastic product. So non-invasive and makes you feel your legs that are gone again. I mean, that's fantastic. So now over to the judges for questions. Anne, please.
Yes, thank you. This is a really cool technology. We've invested in that space and discovered that the economics on the market is really the big challenge. What is your price plan? Do you have to train the person? How long does it take? Who's doing the training? The physical therapist, I'm assuming. What do they get for it? Do they get a reimbursement code? And then I didn't hear anything about FDA or basically that type of payment system. Lots of questions there, but the economics of it.
Yeah, thank you very much for all the questions. And firstly, the price of the device, we are still optimizing the value chain, but what we want to achieve is less than 10% of a prosthetic device, so around 1,000 euros. So a patient that can buy an iPhone can buy also our technology if the idea is to sell the device to patient, because we can sell the device also to prosthesis manufacturers, then can sell the device to patient. The second is the training. So since it's a remapped feedback, but using particular algorithm and also an optimal electrode placement of the skin, the training is short. So it's something that you can learn in few minutes, understand the pressure that you are placing on the prosthetic device and the location of the interaction of the prosthetic device with the ground.
But it is my experience in that space that the person that's doing the fitting is critical, and they would probably have to optimize the fitting with your device. And those people have not been early adopters of technology, and their payment system is critical. Have you looked into that?
Yeah, this is something that we are still looking at these things, but what I can say is that, of course, the rehabilitation specialist and the doctor can prescribe the device to patients that have particular problems in walking, so they can assist at the beginning with this device. Since it's an add-on, we don't need to modify the prosthesis of the patient. So this is something that is very problematic for the amputees to wear a new prosthesis. But since an add-on, we don't need to modify the setting of the prosthesis, but just add the device to the leg. This is something that I think is a little bit better.
And you mentioned a 60% abandonment of prosthesis. Is there a financial implication of that?
This is have an impact on the revenues of prosthesis manufacturer, of course, and also the reintegration of the patient in the working society. The fact is that this is considering also this lack of feedback, but also difficulty in the use of the prosthetic device. So if you can add something that make the patient able to control the device better, we want to increase the time of use of the prosthetic device. So we want also to collect this time and see with patient in the larger clinical trial if this is something that really happened with patients.
But in that market, reimbursement is critical. $1,000 in our experience will be a very high barrier for direct-to-consumer to pay for this. So you would going to have to find a way to get that. And I don't think that the prosthetic people are going to absorb that cost.
Yeah, it's true. Indeed, the B2B is better for us. We are contacting prosthesis manufacturers like Ottobock and Dosur. We already discussing with them if they are interested in our product, and so they can sell the device to the patient, and we don't need this to explore the reimbursatory path for the different countries. And yeah, of course. And very recently, we consider also the subscription from our software. That is something that we can consider also, because we can have a revenue also over time. Yeah.
And in your sorry, timer's off.
Yes. Actually, yes, but if you have more questions, like, please go and meet MYLEG afterwards in the networking event. But yeah, definitely, thank you so much, Giacomo. Fantastic presentation and really cool technology. So I think, yeah, definitely you and Anne should also follow up afterwards and have a chat. Seems that there is a good connection as well. Yeah, and so we already move on to the next startup now. And the next startup, we're actually staying in the neurological space, but we're actually moving up one level. So from the legs, we're actually going to the brain. And the next startup is working on making really cool and groundbreaking brain surgeries possible through a new soft material that they're using. That sounds cool. So we want to hear more. So please, Nicola from Neurosoft, floor is yours.
Perfect. Thank you so much for the introduction, Francisca. So normally you should be able to see my screen now. So hello, everyone. My name is Nicholas, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Neurosoft Bioelectronics. So around the world, millions of people suffer from severe neurological disorders, such as paraplegia, deafness, or blindness. Soon, these patients will be able to be treated by brain-computer interfaces. Brain-computer interfaces are implantable medical devices that are made of an implantable recording or stimulation system that is connected to a neural interface. The neural interface consists of an array of electrodes that can record from or electrically stimulate the surface of the brain in order to monitor or to treat these patients. Unfortunately, these devices are not widespread in the clinic, and one of the major reasons is because neural interface technologies are not suitable for long-term implantation. They're made of extremely rigid materials that do not last very long in the body. So this is why at Neurosoft, we have developed the first soft and high density electrode technology. We have been working on these technologies for the past years at EPFL in Switzerland. We have tested it in multiple animal models from rats to pigs up to monkeys, and we have protected it with multiple families of patents, 8 in total, including 4 already granted in Europe and in the US. Thanks to this unique platform technology, we're able to manufacture electrodes that are extremely soft and that can seamlessly interface with the complex curvature of the surface of the brain. But not only that, but we can also access a large part of the brain that is hidden inside the sulci, these villae at the surface of the brain that you cannot access with rigid electrodes because they're way too rigid to be folded, whereas our devices can actually access the region that were inaccessible until now. Still, some people always ask me, why are soft materials that important? So what I'm going to show you is maybe a bit gruesome picture, but I think it brings the point forward, so just be warned. But basically, current devices in the clinic are made of these rigid metal discs that when are implanted generate a lot of inflammation. And typically what happens is that you have scar tissue building up around the implant. So you can see here an electrode array explanted from a monkey brain that is completely surrounded by the scarring tissue. So these are the current technologies available on the market. And our devices are made of extremely soft materials, and our preliminary animal studies have shown that after at least 6 months of implantation in a pig brain, the device looks pristine as it was on the first day of implantation. So these are the extremely promising results, and this is why soft matters. So thanks to this unique technology, we're in a unique position to develop the first soft and high-density electrodes. Our big ambition is not only to revolutionize the way we interface with the brain, but also other parts of the nervous system, such as the spinal cord or peripheral nerves, or even other organs in the future, such as the heart. So today we have a strategy that I'm happy to tell you more about during the questions to first develop a standalone device without the implantable electronics, the soft ECOG, and we have a very clear strategy to get there to market in the US first into Q1 2022. And we're currently looking for an investment to bring this first product to market, as well as to continue development of the BCI, the brain-computer interface, which will take a bit longer. So please reach out to me if you're interested in the technology as an investment, or also we're looking for partners, clinical partners or research partners in the US. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Nicola. Fantastic pitch and really cool stuff that you're working on. So now over to the judges for questions. Yeah, Anne?
Sorry, you move around. And Nicola is very, very interesting. I love the technology, but I'm really concerned as an investor about the clinical applications. And it seems to me like an R&D that should be funded by the NIH or the EU, you know, R&D clinical there, where it will enable people to develop apps, which have to be developed to show efficacy of those before you can sell a lot of those devices. So as an investor, this looks like a 15-year process there. What are your thoughts?
No, it's a very good question. And this is why we've developed a strategy where we can actually bring a first product to market much earlier on. So we hope in the next 15 months. So the idea is we're developing standalone electrodes. So the electrode is implanted up to 30 days. It has a nice application where you don't need to use it implanted for 20 years. It's 30 days, it's for epilepsy and brain tumors. And we can talk about this later on. And there we have a clear regulatory pathway for this. We also know what's happening in terms of reimbursement. We're still working on a market access strategy. And this is why we want to generate, you know, already a bit of revenue, de-risking the project, because we know, as you say, that it's going to take at least, we've estimated about 6 years to develop the full BCI with our partners. So
and have you talked to the FDA? Because I'm really surprised it's a 510K. I mean, this is an implant. So how do you make sure safety, efficacy, migration, you know, like you said, scar tissue response?
I get this question a lot. So actually we're getting a confirmation with a pre-sub, but a lot of people in the space are doing the same strategy as us and they've worked successfully. Actually, the first device is up to 30 days implantation, so not permanently implanted. And there are devices on the market that exist. People were successfully doing 15Ks without clinical studies. I know it sounds very surprising, but we're quite confident. We have a nice pathway and we're currently confirming this with the FDA with a pre-sub. So I agree with you. For the brain-computer interface is going to be a PMA for sure. But for the first application, actually 15K with a predicate device, we're very confident about our strategy. Yeah.
Amy, Daniel, I don't want to steal the show here.
No.
How does this compare to something like Neuralink?
Yeah, so it's an excellent question. So Neuralink has developed a very nice way to put a lot of electrodes, like thousands, in a very small volume with these small threads. But if they want to start covering large surfaces like these grids that I have here, then this is not suitable. So it depends really on the application, what you want to do. For example, we have one application we're thinking about is tinnitus, is in the auditory cortex. You need to cover a large portion, and you would need at least 10 of their devices poking holes in the brain everywhere, which is not suitable. And the major difference is that they penetrate the brain, we stay at the surface. Depends a lot what you plan to do, but that's the major difference. And depending on the application, their technology is more suitable or ours. So voila, that's the difference.
And you guys focus solely on the interface. Could you walk us through a little bit about the financial landscape of an implant like this and where the different, where the revenues flow?
Yeah, so for the first product, what's nice is that we only need to sell the device. It's actually connected to an external computer that it already is in most hospitals and neurosurgery departments. So one of our strategies that we're currently considering is just to get one of these companies that already sell these laptops and computers that can record and stimulate to also sell our device, which is basically a consumable. So that's our first strategy. And for the BCI, we're working with a partner, the V Center in Switzerland, who have been spending $20 million in the past 5 years to develop the actual implantable electronics, which is a whole other story. So we are focusing on the electrode technology, the interface, but we're working with these partners to work on the entire system. Voilà.
Daniel?
I hope it answers your question. Yeah.
My question was around the commercialization. So thanks, Amy.
Yeah.
So what do you expect the price point to be?
So it depends on what you ask. For the BCI, we're basically looking at something close like cochlear implants, which is the closest type of device with an interface electronics, which is usually around 35 to 50,000 if you're between Europe, Germany, or US. So 35 to 50K. And for the first device, which is standalone, it's actually, it depends on the size. There's different sizes of electrodes, but it's around $1,000 per device. And it's the same price point as competition today. Yeah.
And right now, are you passive? Am I right? You're just trying to capture information. You're not active where you're sending electrical.
No, we can do both. We do both.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you have a limit in what you can do in the electrical signal?
No, it's really an electrical pathway, so you can do what it depends on the stimulator on the recording system.
I'm being flashed here to shut up.
Yeah. No, it's but yeah, we can do both. Voilà.
Fantastic. So many good questions. Thank you very much, Nicola, and thanks, judges, for the really hard questions. Unfortunately, we already have to move on. So we have actually 2 startups left tonight. And then the event is already over, at least the pitching part. So for the next startup, we're actually staying in the sensory space, so neurological space in a sense, but we are going outside of the brain and actually on the surface of a receptive organ, on the eye. And the next startup is actually working on making surgery outcomes much better by more accurate planning of those surgeries on eyes. So how they're exactly doing that, we're looking forward to hear it from Alex from Optimeyes Medical.
Hello, good morning and good evening, wherever you are. I'm Alexander van der Meij, I'm CCO from Optimeyes Medical, and today I'm very proud to present to you Optimeyes, which is a mix, which is obviously a word game between optimization and eyes, and that's exactly what we are doing. So what we did, we digitalized the eye. So we created a special thing around it, so we can predict how surgeries are going on. So let's go into the eye care industry. I'd like to take you with me on just a little journey. So what's the problem? You have to think when you think about eyes, everything is in microns. So it's tiny, 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 tiny. And microns makes a difference between success and failure. And you have to be aware, no 2 eyes are the same. And this is very important. When you go in the eye care industry, everybody, it's much about one size fits all. And especially when you go into the cataract industry, which when you have some relatives, they are elderly, who probably have one, this is the most common surgery in the world. You're talking about 30 million surgeries every year. And to give you an even more clearer picture, it's about 75,000 cataract surgeries every day. So what will happen here? So the standard of care is we will put you in front of the most high-tech diagnostic devices. We take this data and then we will set you up for the high-tech therapy. This is called a femtosecond laser. It's the most advanced laser mankind ever produced for the eye care industry. But what about the planning? How do they do that? That will be on a piece of paper. nomograms. Yeah, that's real statistical models. We consider this as low tech. And this is not very wonderful. This is not very strange that everything is high tech and the planning is done by paper. So what can we do about it? So what does Optimeyes? What we do is we take the data from the high-tech diagnostic devices. We create a 3D model of your eye. We call it digital twin. And based on this digital twin, we dry run the surgery. And we will look to deliver the best possible outcome. And we will deliver this to the surgeon so he can deliver the best surgery to you. So your version will be much better and patient-specific. And we are not doing this for the cataract industry. We'll also do this for the refractive surgery and keratoconus. And with this, we are going into the field of personal medicine. It's not about one size fits all. It's about you and especially in this case, your eyes. And therefore, I would like to take you with me. And where are we looking for? We are looking for investors, R&Ds, stakeholders within the eye care industry. And what I just tell you, it's not a yoga bubble. These things are really happening. We are up to sign up a very few deals within the industry. You will hear very soon from us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Alexander. So now over to the judges for some questions.
Thank you, Alexander. Could you describe just a little bit, give a little bit more in depth of exactly how it works?
So yeah, that's it's very clear. So what we're doing is, let's say you have got a Pentacam, which is a market leader product. We take the clinical data, you upload it, and we build a program so we can simulate the data. So in our artificial eye, in our organ, and we calculate where they put the incisions to get the best possible outcome. But this is just one thing. We have got, as I just mentioned, what we did, we digitalized the organ, and based on this digitalization of the organ, we can do much, much more, and we will expand our landscape quite soon. And with the cataract industry, that's the one where we started.
And to clarify, you're saying that this would be for correcting astigmatism, but without an intraocular lens?
Can be. There are some cases you can do that. You call it touch-ups. Let's say you have got a premium IOL or you have got a normal IOL and you are not happy with it. It can be that we can correct your vision or your astigmatism just by using our product, and we are calculating where to put the incisions to cut the cornea in that way that we repair your sense, that we repair your vision.
So Alex, I was involved in the Startup Bootcamp, so I know that space pretty well. You're a software company, just to be clear. You have no hardware. You're piggybacking the data from somebody else, and then you're optimizing it. Now, the industry has a lot of technology already to do that, looking at the thickness of the cornea to know exactly what type of astigmatism, the myopia, how much you can cut that's safe, and all of these other things. What are you bringing that they don't already have? That's what I'm missing.
Okay, yeah. I didn't want to go to the specifics of the industry because it's very complex. So let's face it very clear. When we go to the cataract industry, we have got 90% of the people who undergo cataract surgery will not have astigmatism correction. Yeah, so they will still need a pair of lenses, and the current toric lenses that are used, they are very difficult to implant. They are high demanding and they are very expensive. And with our solution, we can treat especially the low astigmatism part, which is between 0.5 diopter and about 2 diopter.
But how do you treat that? Because you're not a laser, am I right? So
exactly.
You're doing dual procedures. You put the IOL and then you have a laser that does resurfacing. But why don't they do that today? Why are they not capable of doing that without you?
So yeah, that's exactly what we are doing. So we will tie it up with one of those laser companies, and we will deliver the software so they can be more precise and drive the volume of their lasers. That's the business model behind it.
Okay, what I'm missing maybe is they have the knowledge to do that today, but they're not doing these dual procedures. What are you giving them? What's the information you're giving them without going to the specifics that enable them to do something they cannot do today?
So it's patient specific. At the moment, they use nomograms. They are statistical values, and that just means when you try to correct it, you overcorrect it. You never hit what you really want to what you like to do, and that's the problem for the femtosecond laser, which we address. But
so
I would
you only do astigmatism. You don't do presbyopia, you don't do
In this case, we're doing especially the astigmatism correction between 0.5 and 2 diopters. And in special cases, which you just mentioned, if it's in if the cataract was, you want to have a touch-up, which means the IOL is inside and you want to get better vision, you can do that with the laser.
There's a big problem with the IOL is as people get older there, we get presbyopic, and none of the IOL right now are very good. And then they have these different type of IOLs, and one eye you get, this problem of losing the 3D capability. That's the big issue. Astigmatism is not a huge issue. And did you validate how big of a market that is?
Yeah, I can tell you it's about 2.2 and it will go to 3.8 billion.
With IOL?
Yeah, I can tell. And premium IOL is 1.8 billion. And the standard IOL is 2.5 billion around it's 2020 and will grow.
Alex, I'm being flashed, so sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
Yes, actually, I'm sure Alexander can talk much more about market potential of astigmatism treatment, and also seems here that Anne and Alexander should definitely follow up with each other. Thank you so much for the great questions, Anne and other judges, and also thank you, Alexander, for the fantastic pitch.
Thank you very much.
So, as said, if you have more questions, meet all the startups afterwards at their virtual demo tables. And now we're actually already almost at the end of tonight's evening. And we are currently, so we are, yes, sorry, I think I had a technical difficulty here. So anyway, so we are actually already at the end of tonight's event. And we have one last startup to pitch. The last startup is also basically chiming in when things in the body don't work anymore, but I think they don't work on astigmatism, but they're actually discovering other diseases. And they're doing that through single cell technology. And how they're doing that, we are really looking forward to hear it from Andreas from Scailyte.
Thank you, Francisca. Thank you for introduction. Good evening or good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Andres. I'm Business Development Manager at Scailyte, and today we'll talk about our unique computational approach to single cell data analysis. There is a huge unmet need for precision and early diagnostics, especially for cancer. And in this context, single cell data is the access key to resolving a problem. And Scailyte has built the first-in-class data analysis, single cell data analysis platform, which enables to develop novel sensitive diagnostic assays or therapeutic targets and targeted therapies. So before I continue, I want to acknowledge our team, as most of us are experts in single cell technologies and hold PhD in biomedicine or data science. Our scientific expertise is complemented by a dedicated business development team, and we are consulted by the scientific advisory board of clinical experts in their fields. So as a proof of our success, we have currently 4 in-house projects, for 2 of which we have already filed patent applications. By licensing patents of these diagnostic assays, we project from 10 to 100 million Swiss francs or dollars as royalties from each of the projects. Additionally, we are looking for partners to start new projects with focus on immunology or oncology. So our data analysis platform and the concept of it can be easily explained by using a fruit salad as an example. So imagine one of the fruits makes salad sour. And how do you find out this sneaky sour fruit? There are 2 major ways. It's either by sorting a salad and tasting fruit separately, or by blending it and tasting a smoothie. So obviously the sorting solution is much more accurate, faster, and precise, and it represents our approach to biomarker discovery from single cell data, which we call SkyVision. The smoothie represents the majority of current diagnostic tests, which are often inconclusive or not sensitive enough to call early diagnosis. So having this comprehensive, flexible, and fast single cell data analysis platform, we seek licensing partners for our diagnostic assay commercialization, as well as partners for co-development projects in order to be first in bringing this novel precision medicine tools to and for patients. Thank you very much. And small announcement, Peter, our CEO, will join our Q&A session. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Andreas. And I think I told you that before, but this was definitely the first time I understood with single cell technology, how it works actually. And so right now, also welcome Peter as well to the judges' questions. So who has a question? Yes.
I was trying to be quiet to give some space to Daniel. But so your liquid biopsy, or I mean, you know, how do you get the tissue sample to get to the single cell?
Yes, so it's either we aim to develop a diagnostic test as little invasive as possible. So primarily our object, our material would be blood, liquid biopsy. If needed, then we would also do a tissue biopsies, which would be followed by tissue homogenization and analysis on a single cell level.
And how far are you I think the first one was lymphoma. How far are you at calibrating that? You have a data set that has show calibration, because, you know, sensitivity and specificity of those spaces kind of go downhill, you know, as you scale up, and that's kind of always a big challenge.
Yes, so we have prototype to assay, and we have benchmarked performance of it to the existing simple diagnostic assays in the same field. So our assay has a 95% sensitivity, and the closest counterpart from existing tests is about 70-75%. So we have increased by 20% sensitivity using our prototype. And another thing is that it's a single prototype that is sufficient to call diagnosis in comparison to 3 or 4 tests that currently need to be used in the clinics for lymphoma.
I saw you had the magic word called COVID. What exactly are you measuring?
Yes, so that's a very opportunistic project from our side. We aim to identify high-risk patients as early as possible, ideally at the time of hospitalization. And basically, our test would allow clinicians to make informed decision.
But what do you measure?
We measure single proteins.
Okay, are you looking at the spikes of the COVID? Are you looking at the antigen that's in the body? Are you looking at the equivalent of a PCR? What do you do?
Yeah, I got the question wrong, but we are looking at immune system cells in blood, and basically we look for pre-existing or predisposition of the immune system to develop a severe symptoms of COVID patients. So basically, when infection hits, the immune system of each person.
I know, but you know, we're learning this on a weekly basis. There, I do a whole an insights on YouTube on clinical update on COVID, and we literally we're learning on a weekly basis there. You know, some pre-existing conditions, some genetic mutations, and all of that. So how can you? I'm trying. You know, I know it's opportunistic right now, but you have to get something that can be used in the next 6 to 12 months. Is that realistic?
Yes. So if we have already confirmed the validation, confirmed the signature on the independent cohort, and it performs very well. So we just need to expand the patient base and expect for best results.
Yeah, maybe if I can comment here as well. Hi from my side, I'm Peter. So the project now focuses on COVID patients, and what we're measuring is the response of the immune system, and basically we have a predictor of the hyper reaction of the immune system. And this happens in COVID-19 patients, but actually this happens in many other viral-induced pneumonias. And we also discussed with a pharmaceutical company that is developing therapies to prevent this critical reaction of the immune system. Actually not in COVID-19, so they've been doing these clinical studies for many years already in viral pneumonia. And this is actually the big commercial potential of this project, which we plan to expand now in winter, also on non-COVID patients. And yeah, COVID hopefully will be gone in a year from now, but viral pneumonia not. And if we're successful in predicting cytokine storms in kind of a broader cohort of patients, yeah, that will have a major commercial impact.
Fantastic, really hard questions, and I have to see if the other judges have a question because we're actually already at time, but if you have one burning one, it doesn't seem like. So this was a really fantastic last round. Thank you so much, Peter, and thank you so much, Andreas, and also the judges for your good questions. So with that, we're already at the end of today's pitch event. I would love to quickly wrap up the event with a short last announcement. So
you're muted.
Sorry, I think yes. Now I'm unmuted again. Thank you, Anne. So thank you so much to 4 startups that just pitched right now and also the startups that pitched before. I would like to make a final call for action. We are currently actually hiring. So we are looking for support in our startup team. If you know any great candidates that have a startup mindset and drive and are great quick learners and team players, reach out to startups@swissnexsf.org. Then I would like to tell you about some fantastic events that are coming up. As you have seen, we're a team of 20 people and we're really busy working on many different interesting topics. And so these are a few events that are coming up. So something around COVID, then Geneva Talks with Brad Smith, the president of Microsoft, some more artistic event with Lauren Hooray, and then also a discussion about whether AI has a gender. So if you're interested, tune in, and there are many more events to come. And now I would like to officially close tonight's event and thank you again for your attention. We stayed almost in the planned time, so this is great. And now if you want to meet the other attendees or if you want to meet the startups and ask some more questions, please join now for Remo. My colleague Linda will actually be the host there, and she's also now sending you the link. So press on the link and then you will launch a web browser window and then you can join us for the networking event right afterwards. And yeah, we'll give you like 5 minutes for transition and then we will make the introductory announcement. So if you need a quick bio break, you can do that now. And yes, with that, thank you so much for your attention. This was the last demo day at Swissnex San Francisco for the year. Stay tuned for the next great cohorts and really congratulations to all 7 startups. You did a fantastic job and thanks again to also the judges and also the fantastic Swissnex team in the background. Good night and have a good rest of your day.
Thanks everyone, great jobs.